We are here with Dr. Allan Lavell, who coordinates the social study of risk and disaster at Latin American Social Science Faculty in San Jose, Costa Rica. He is also the coordinating lead author of Chapter 1 of the IPCC Special Report on managing the risk of extreme events and disasters to advance adaptation. Dr. Lavell, could you outline the work you are doing in Central America and the Andean countries to reduce disaster risk?
Okay. Two things principally that I've been working on recently. One is because I firmly believe that concepts are important to be able to get real actions on the ground. I've been working very closely with government, organizations and communities on getting through notions of risk management from a development perspective. That is one aspect. The second aspect is we've done a lot of work recently, both in the Andean countries, the 4 Andean countries and the Central American countries, systematizing examples of how communities and localities deal with risk under their own volition or with the inspiration of NGOs or other externally financed projects, and then attempting to systematize these experiences and to use them as good practice in discussions in forum with distinct stakeholders who are attempting to promote risk reduction activities.
In your opinion, what actions contribute to reducing the risk of extreme events? Please describe an initiative in your country or region that reduces disaster risk and helps people adapt to climate change.
Well, I think the most simple statement about this is the best way to reduce risk of extreme events or non-extreme events is by promoting sustainable development. And that can be done, and what we've attempted to do is to work through such actions as land use planning, territorial organization, environmental management, maintenance of environmental services, improvement in governance characteristics, and the strengthening of livelihoods. So very simply, the attitude we have is that you reduce risk by increasing people's potential to develop.
Okay. Can you just to ask a follow-up question to this, what specific actions, I mean, if you could pick maybe one of those categories, maybe on the governance side or on the land use planning, what are the kinds of actions that reduce risk?
Well, the thing is, if you look, the risk is built up because of inadequate practices with land use planning, with urban governance, etc., then obviously the counterpart of that to reduce risk is to get on top of that. So if you do not have adequate land use planning in cities, for instance, and people are locating in riverbeds or on slopes, you're going to get disaster. Or if people in the agriculture, in rural areas are deforesting the slopes and reducing the protection which forests give them, then consequently you're going to get disaster. So the idea is that you revert these processes which contribute negatively to risk conditions. There are many examples of this that can be seen. It is not a prevalent practice still. There's still the idea that reducing risk is something structural, whereas it should be seen as an ongoing sustainable development activity through existing strategies for sustainable development, which is land use planning, environmental management, etc.
What do you consider the way forward in linking climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction?
Well, I think the way forward is to first recognize that they have a lot in common and therefore break down the barriers between conceptual frameworks, break down the barriers between institutional separations and financing mechanisms, and realize that synergy is the only way forward in gaining something which is more efficient.
Why is this IPCC special report important, and how will it help governments deal with climate change and disaster risk?
Well, I think this is a singular opportunity, and probably the first, and hopefully not the last, opportunity to bring together a very well-experienced group of people, experienced both conceptually, experienced in terms of thinking about practice, to discuss together and hopefully produce through that a series of significant, politically pertinent ideas on getting on top of the problem. And so I think the value of it is in the quality of the people that are meeting, the diversity of people that are meeting from different walks of life, to say it that way, but all of whom have something very much in common. And so, you know, policy recommendations or policy relevant information is based on credibility of the sources. And I don't think there can be any doubt about the credibility of the people that are at this meeting and the credibility of the types of recommendations and the types of analysis they will put forward.
Thank you.